Hello everyone, my name is Mingjin and I am here to present to you on self-regulated learning of online students. Before I begin, I would like to ask you to think of this question. Is self-regulated learning equals to self-directed learning? I will give you a moment to think about this. We will come back to this question later. So why is this topic important for you? First, online learning is common amongst students, especially after COVID-19 pandemic. It is also important for us to understand that online learning should be bi-directional. Learning takes place with the effort from students and teachers. Knowing more on self-regulation learning would also benefit teachers like you on these strategies that we can use to teach online students. So at the end of this session, you will be able to define self-regulated learning, understand the self-system structures, construct meaningful relationship of how self-system structures affect motivation and learning, and justify at least 3 strategies as teacher could adopt to enhance online learning. Okay, so now let's break things down. What is self-regulation? When I search up on the dictionary, it actually tells me that it is the act of making certain yourself that you or your employees act according to the rules rather than having this done by other people. Now, what is self-regulated learning? When I search up on the dictionary on the definition of learning, it actually refers to an activity of gaining knowledge. Hence, self-regulated plus learning, it also means that it is the act of following rules to gain knowledge. However, I want to ask you this question right now. Who defined the rules? And after thinking for it for a while, my answer is nobody but yourself. Let me explain to you why. So, have you heard of the self-system structures? The self-system structures formulates over time where individuals grow from infancy into adulthood through experiences, social interactions, and physical environment. In other words, this means that everybody's self-system could be different. Let me further explain to you. There are 2 renowned psychologists whom I would like to talk briefly about. The first one is Jean Piaget, and the second one is Albert Bandura. So, Jean Piaget is famous for his cognitive development theory. Piaget believed that children take an active role in the learning process, acting much like little scientists as they perform experiments, make observations, and learn about the world. As kids interact with the world around them, they continually learn new knowledge, build upon existing knowledge, and adapt previously held ideas to accommodate new information. So let us all reflect on this theory together. All of us grows up in a different environment, cultures, parents, teachers, and this would shape us into different individuals. So the second theory that I would like to talk about is by Albert Bandura, social learning theory. So Mr. Bandura performed the Bobo doll experiments. If you have not heard of this before, you may look it up, and it is interesting to learn about how his experimental work. And through the experiment, it is concluded that learning is a cognitive process, that it takes place in a social setting, and learning can occur by observing the behavior and the consequences. So again, let us reflect on how we grow up. The way we have observed things will also affect how it shapes us into different individuals, and the way we experience things will make us a different person. So all of us are not the same. So I hope now it helps you understand better on self-system structures. The 2 theories that I talk about helps us to reflect that each one of us have different self-system structures. Everybody is different. And when our experiences, social interactions, or physical environmental changes, it may also affect our cell system structure. It might change. And the main domains that I've identified from McComb's paper for cell system structure have 4 domains: self-identity, self-worth, self-values or goals, and self-concerns. Let me show you more. So the next thing I would like to talk more about is the role of the cell system in motivation and learning. And this paper is actually by McComb, 1989. It is an old paper, however, I still find it relatable. Let me explain to you the illustration here. Okay, so our cell system structure has actually 4 domains: self-identity, self-worth, self-values or goals, self-concerns. And this is actually individual that is shaped in our self when we grow up, and maybe through social learning theory, it will shape us into having these domains in us. And this can't be changed over time. And our self-system processes includes self-evaluation, such as competence, control, importance. And through this, if we can expect failure or success, it can affect our affective reactions and affect our motivation, and hence it will affect how we can self-regulate the processes, and it makes us think through and also learn things. Okay, so you can see that it's actually going in a vicious cycle. And if our self-regulation processes is taking place and the self-regulated learning is taking place, we will be able to perform our tasks, able to meet the learning outcomes. And if we are not able to meet the learning outcome, there is a self-reinforcement processes, and it will come back again for us to reflect and to evaluate and to see how it works for our learning. So why did I discuss so much on the self-system structure? Remember that today's topic is still on self-regulated learning of the online students. And the self-system structure is vital for us to understand that there are things that teachers can't change for the students to improve the learning outcome. So I'd like to talk more on the suggestion for teacher designers like you. When you have online students, you need to think of these 2 factors. One is a non-modifiable factors, and the second one is modifiable factors. So how did I came up with these 4 points here? Is that I have actually inferred from McComb's paper. These 4 domains are the self-system structures, and these are not factors that we can change overnight for the students. If the students have low self-identity, low self-worth, low self-goals, and have a lot of self-concerns, we are not able to enhance learning easily for them. We have to remember this. However, we do have modifiable factors, and as inferred in McComb's paper again, looking at the table from this end, the self-system processes, expectation for failures and success, effective reaction and motivation. First, we look at the self-system processes, such as the self-evaluation of competence, control, and importance. And modifiable factors for teacher designers, when you are designing the online environment for your students, you will want to have your learners to have some kind of control over the online platform. And for example, you may let them choose to complete or not to complete that component, or you allow them to make a suggestion as well. And you will want to let them see the importance of the topic or the content and how it can impact their final exam or how it can benefit them later on. The third one is to assert their competence. Maybe you can do this by allowing them to have formative evaluation of their own knowledge to boost their morale. The fourth one is to manage their expectations by letting them know that they might pass or fail. However, failing does not mean that that's the end of their learning. And lastly, you will want to allow learners to connect with the teachers. You will want to be approachable or easily contacted by sharing maybe your phone number, your work phone number, or maybe your email. Or to also add on an online peer discussion that would help them to relate with each other. And more modifiable factors for teachers to bear in mind that to keep the content interesting and fun, to set short and simple goals for your learners, to challenge the students, yet you can provide scaffolding for them when they need help. This will help to enhance learning, motivate them, and will help them to regulate and to learn better and to meet their objective, and you will produce good students. To be realistic, we are not able to provide a perfect online learning environment for all the students. We have already talked about the non-modifiable factors, which has these 4 points here. And I've actually added one last thing here that I would like to highlight on, which is the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And it starts from basic needs, psychological needs, and self-fulfillment needs. And for a human being, our basic needs are very important that needs to be met. And for every online students, we might not know their situation. We might not know if they have other family issues or maybe financial issues they have at home. They might not have their internet bills paid. Hence, they may not be able to access the online platform. And with all these non-modifiable factors here, is something that a teacher can change over time. Overnight. Okay, so there are also still some strategies that we can adopt. Maybe we can encourage a growth mindset for students, and we can offer flexible learning options, and maybe we can acknowledge different starting points for the students and their needs by maybe offering them supplementary classes that might not be in the online environment. And we will also want to create an inclusive and supportive online space for making students feel heard and valued. And even if they don't have the online support that they need, maybe due to certain basic needs that they have issues with, we would want them to feel supported by the teachers, and that teachers like you will need to support them with all your heart. So now, let's get back to our first question just now. Is self-regulated learning equals to self-directed learning? And my answer to you is no. Let me explain to you why. I'll try my best to explain to you in my own words. So self-directed learning is needed to be self-regulated. However, a self-regulated learning is not needed to be self-directed. If you can look at this diagram that I've drawn here, self-directed learning is in this big circle here, and self-regulated learning is within the big circle. So, to be self-directed, you will need to have some form of self-regulation. However, if you have self-regulation within you or do not have self-regulation within you, it does not necessarily mean that you will be able to have a self-directed learning. Okay, so to explore further on the terms used, self-regulated learning is actually used in cognitive psychology as it's regulating internally within us. And self-directed learning refers to more of an adult learner regulating externally, and usually we are all motivated by the goal and will be able to meet our learning outcome. And this is the last slide that I have. And thank you so much for listening in. And I've actually taken time to actually research on this topic. If you do have a different opinion, please feel free to share, and I will be happy to answer and to discuss more with you. Thank you.